functional MRIs, we now know that the brain is not fully developed during adolescence. The portion of the brain that is not developed is the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex sits behind the forehead, and it is the CEO of the brain. It controls working memory, planning, organization, and the modulating of mood. Because the prefrontal cortex is not developed, here are some of the things that adolescents struggle with. The inability to accurately interpret social cues, meaning that if two adolescents are in a hallway and they accidentally bump each other, instead of them realizing that this is an accident, they look at it as deliberate and could also produce a fight. It permits the negative emotions to dominate, its impulsivity and inattention, and the insensitivity to consequences. What we know about that is that threats don't work. And they have a heightened sensitivity towards rewards, meaning that the kids today like extrinsic rewards. Now, let's talk about the youth that we serve. These are youth that have had an overexposure to violence, trauma, abuse, and neglect. So what that means is that these behaviors are actually magnified in those youth. This is why the Tennessee Department of Children's Services has chosen to use ART, known as Aggression Replacement Training. It's an evidence-based program that was developed by Arnold Goldstein and Barry Glick in the 1980s. Aggression replacement training is a multi-model psychoeducational treatment modality. It's designed to alter the behavior of chronically aggressive adolescents and young children. ART improves social skill competence, anger control, and moral reasoning. ART is used to raise the social and emotional intelligence of adolescents. Adolescents learn what to do in social situations, they learn how to control their emotions, and they learn how to reason better.
The American Psychological Association defines evidence-based programming as the integration of the best available research with clinical expertise in the context of patient characteristics, culture, and preference. Evidence-based programs entails skills, techniques, and specific strategies that are used by a practitioner in working with the program participants. The Office of Juvenile Justice, Delinquency, and Prevention, as well as the Department of Education, have declared that ART is a model program. In order to be a model program, you must meet 3 criteria. One is evidence of a deterrent effect, meaning that through rigorous research, there is evidence that the program deters in areas of delinquency, violence, and substance use. Second is sustained effect, meaning that the effect of the program endures beyond treatment, specifically 1 year, and also across one developmental phase to the next. And finally, multiple site replication, meaning that the program has shown to be effective across diverse settings as well as diverse populations.
The great thing about ART is that it targets interventions towards substance abuse, gang involvement, and antisocial personality. Basically, what that means is that we have an opportunity to provide interventions to adolescents so that they don't become life course persistent offenders, meaning, in layman's terms, career criminals.
In 2008, the Department of Children's Services introduced ART into our secure facilities, beginning with the first component, the gathering. The gathering is a character education component, and it consists of the MELT and character education story. The MELT is a time of relaxation and meditation that seeks to harmonize both the left and right sides of the brain and prepare the brain for learning. The character education story piece is to help our kids learn through storytelling, and it helps kids to learn 4 social skills as well as 16 character traits. And the 4 social skills are handshaking, eye contact, and accepting and giving a compliment. Examples of the 16 character traits would be patience, perseverance, gratitude, humanity, and even service. Skill streaming was the next component of ART introduced. This is the behavior component. This is the time that teaches youth what to do in social situations. Youth are trained on 50 pro-social skills through a means of modeling, role-playing, performance feedback, and generalization of training, which is the transfer of learning piece. The 2 ART trainers facilitating the group for the youth guide the youth through 9 structured steps. Step 1 is define the skill. This is the time where the trainers ensure that all youth participating in the group are aware and understand the skill that is to be the focus of this skill streaming group. Step 2 is model the skill. This is where the two art trainers conduct a role play for the youth to observe to see how the main actor demonstrates that skill in a social situation. Step 3, establish trainee skill need. Step 4, select a role player. Step 5, set up the role play. And step 6, conduct the role play. It is during these steps that the youth identify their own relevant real-life situations that they could use this social skill in, and then thus demonstrate it in a role play. Each youth in the group must participate as a main actor in a role play. The main actor is the person who demonstrates the steps. Step 7 is provide performance feedback. It is at this time in the group that the trainers, the actors, and all the youth observing are given an opportunity to give feedback and evaluate the main actor and how well they demonstrated that pro-social skill in their role play. Step 8 is assigned skill homework. This is the portion where the youth take the skill that they have learned in group outside of group, the transfer of learning piece, and they practice it in their real life situations outside of group. Step 9 is select the next role player, and the cycle begins again. Social skills that are learned, or examples of skill streaming skills that can be learned, are listening, how to introduce yourself, standing up for a friend, and how to avoid a fight. Of the 50 pro-social skills, they are divided into 6 categories. And these 6 categories divide them from beginning skills, all the way, which would be something like listening, all the way to a planning skill for when you leave the facility and are going to be out in your community. Anger control training is the emotion component of ART. This is the component that teaches youth what not to do. The goal of this group is to teach them what arouses their anger and help to make the arousal of anger a less frequent occurrence, as well as to teach them self-control techniques that they can utilize when the anger is aroused. The anger control training groups also follow the group facilitation model of modeling, role-playing, performance feedback, and generalization of training. Again, 2 ART trainers facilitate a group of youth, utilizing structured steps. Step 1 is to review the last session's homework and the session. This is obviously after the groups have begun, not in group 1. They always just take a few moments to review the previous session. Step 2, define the sequence concept. They are learning about the anger control cycle, and each week they will learn a new portion of the anger control cycle. It is in this step that the trainers ensure that the youth again understand that concept. Step 3 is model the sequence. The 2 trainers again perform a role play for the youth, making sure that the youth see and understand the demonstration of that new concept, plus the ones that they have learned ahead of time in other groups. The anger control training groups build upon each other with each additional group. Step 4, establish the trainee need. Step 5, select the role player. Step 6, select the co-actor and assign feedback. And step 7, conduct the role play. It is again during this time that each youth has an opportunity to voice situations that have occurred for them in the week prior to group on their hassle logs as their scenario for role play. There again is a main actor and a co-actor, and the main actor is the student in the role play that demonstrates the steps that they are learning, this concept. Step 8, it's to provide feedback. Once again, the trainers, the youth participating in the role play, as well as those observing, are given an opportunity to give feedback to the main actor on how well they demonstrated what they're learning about the anger control cycle. Step 9, select the next role player and continue on. And at the end of the group, step 10 is assign homework. The trainer will summarize what has taken place in previous groups and this day's group and assign homework out to the youth to continue practicing with the use of a hassle log. The hassle log is what is known as their homework sheet. The youth will take time after each situation that has occurred for them throughout a week where arousal has come up for them and will record it on this hassle log to bring back to group for discussion. The anger control cycle demonstrates the different concepts that are trained throughout each anger control training group. They begin with learning about triggers. What are the things that trigger them? What are the things that bring about anger arousal within their body? And to learn about how their body lets them know, even physically, that anger has been aroused. As the cycle continues on around, they are learning techniques to help reduce that anger arousal and therefore be able to choose how they can best handle this situation that they've become a part of.
Moral reasoning is the values component of ART. This is where we teach kids why they need to use the skills in the first place. There are 4 steps to a moral reasoning group. In a moral reasoning group, youth get the opportunity to get the social perspective of others. The first thing is that we introduce the problem situation or social dilemma. The second step is that we cultivate mature morality by listening to those youth who have more mature moral reasoning responses. The second is that we remediate the moral developmental delays by listening to the cognitive distortions. There are 4 primary cognitive distortions of juvenile delinquents: self-centeredness, blaming, minimizing, mislabeling, and assuming the worst. These cognitive distortions have 4 behavioral references: oppositional defiance, physical aggression, lying, and stealing. The last thing in our moral reasoning groups is by consolidating the mature morality. We do this by not telling adolescents what to think. We do this by asking them challenging questions such as, what if this happened to you? And what if everyone did things this way?
In summary, ART reduces recidivism by 25%. What that means to us is that we have a real opportunity to impact the lives of the youth that we serve in an everyday setting, the facilities that they currently reside in our state. We have a chance to impact them and help them to leave our facility and lead normal, successful lives. This gives us also an opportunity to partner with our colleagues that are in the field as well as those that are at the facility in a way that will help make ART successful across our entire state.
If you'd like to learn more, here are some more resources. Thank you.